There's a real reason for honoring Lincoln tonight. A double reason. This is the beginning of Thanksgiving week, and Abraham Lincoln is the father of Thanksgiving. He proclaimed Thanksgiving Day as a national holiday in 1863. But there's another reason, too, for remembering Lincoln at this time. Just 76 years ago this week, on the battlefield of Gettysburg, some great and resounding speeches were made. When they were all done, a tall and lonely man stood up and said a few words that were scarcely heard. Some men today say that he wasn't speaking to the people who stood in the battlefield of Gettysburg, but to us, the living, the Americans that live today, and to the Americans that will live always. And as long as his words remain in the hearts of men, there will be democracy and freedom. Words to remember. 87 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom. And that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
And now from 1863 back to 1939, Connie Boswell sings one of this season's hit ballads, and it's from the new Rodgers and Hart musical comedy, Too Many Girls, and it's called I Didn't Know What Time It Was.
Didn't know what time it was, then I met you. Oh, what a lovely time it was, how sublime it was too. I didn't know what day it was, you held my hand, warm like the month of May it was, and I'll say it was grand, grand to be alive, to be young, to be mad, to be yours alone. Grand your face, feel your touch, hear your voice say, I'm all your own. I didn't know what year it was. Life was no prize. I wanted love, and here it was, shining out of your eyes. I'm wise, and I know what time it is now.
To be alive, to be young, to be mad, to be yours alone. To see your face, feel the touch, hear your voice, say I'm all your own.
I didn't know what year it was. Life was no prize. I wanted love, and here it was, shining out of your eyes. I'm wise, and I know what time it is now.
I know what time it is
And here's Warren Hull, who has introduced many of you to Maxwell House Coffee, with some very sound advice for those who have not yet discovered it.
Thanks, Eddie. Ladies, if I were to ask you why you do so much of your marketing in person, I'm sure you'd say...
Well, Mr. Hull, we like to see what we buy. Make sure it's fresh.
Of course you do. And your reward for buying perishable meats, fruits, and vegetables at the peak of their freshness is extra flavor and goodness at the dinner table. Now, that kind of freshness is important in coffee, too. But you can't see coffee freshness in the store. Not until the coffee is in your kitchen do you know whether it is roaster fresh or whether its flavor has wasted away because for several days it was imperfectly protected from air. Yes, air steals away coffee flavor. All coffee, ground or in the whole bean, starts to lose flavor as soon as it's roasted if exposed to the air. In fact, ground coffee, packed in the usual containers where air can easily reach it, loses as much as 45%, nearly half its flavor, in only 9 days. Now, that's why we take Maxwell House coffee, still fresh and fragrant from the roasting ovens, and pack it in that familiar blue super vacuum can. No air can get in, so no flavor can get out. Maxwell House comes right into your kitchen with all its original flavor and fragrance sealed in, none wasted. So if you want more flavor per cup and more cups of fresh, full-flavored coffee per pound, ask for Maxwell House tomorrow, won't you? Just remember, with Maxwell House, you're getting coffee that's not just days fresh, but roaster fresh. And no coffee can be fresher than that.